All right, here we are. We are live. It's early, or not early for me. It's like 10:30 for me, but you guys, it's like 7:30 in the morning. So, FreightVana, what's up, guys? Thanks for coming on to the show, Shannon, Josh. Thanks for coming on here, man.
Absolutely. Morning.
Thanks for having us,
Morning.
man. It's coffee time, but we're ready to go, Gunner. Thanks for inviting us.
Hey, we can have some coffee. Hey, I never do this, by the way, but I wrote down a couple of things because you guys just kind of stand out to me, and it's interesting, and I want to really dive deep and understand how you guys got this going. I went to your website. On the website, it says, this is your statement, really. It's time to do it differently. Over 200 years of transportation experience has taught us one thing. The industry is ready for a reinvention. We're on a mission to make logistics more sincere, less volatile, and better for everyone involved. How? Transformation by the way of three core pillars currently lacking in the industry: transparency, technology, and trust. Where did that come from? And like, where did FreightVana come from?
Came out of the ether. No, I'm just kidding. I'd say, Gunner, we got a lot of experience working for one of the larger trucking companies in the country. And I think, for myself and John, our co-founder, we constantly talked about, hey, what could be different? I think you've heard a lot about technology in the industry over the last 4 or 5 years. I think that there's all the buzzwords we all know. But I think that the buzzwords kind of become a lot of the sizzle, like we like to say. But what's the stake? And so for us, transparency and trust, and I think it just goes into really any industry that has quote unquote brokers, right? There's just a lot of gamesmanship. There's a lot of people trying to take advantage of each other. You show up a certain way, but the reality of how the relationship works is much different than you promote. And I think there's inauthenticity in that, Gunner. And so for our team, not just John and I, but for everybody who wanted to take this journey, we saw a path to maybe being a little bit more authentic in our approach, being a little more honest in our approach, having a little bit more fun in our approach, which you see through kind of the marketing and social media that Josh captains for us. And so, and I think have a little bit more just entertainment in how we approach the business and being a steward of the industry, as opposed to maybe just making record profits and thinking that we're the best. So for us, there was a different path that we wanted to run. And so we kind of hung up the shingle and created FreightVana and the logos and the brand. And then you've kind of seen everything since we started. So.
Well, and you mentioned that, and I want to get Josh involved here because you said, he's captaining pretty much the social media strategy for this company. And you guys, the reason I know about you guys is because of LinkedIn. Like, you guys are out there, and your company, the entire company, engages well with everyone's own stuff. So that's organic growth within your own company, which kind of gives you the illusion of, well, here's a company right here. And then everybody kind of finds out, oh, why is there 10 comments on this, 30 likes on this? It might be the company, but then that grows it organically. I've seen that happen. Steam Logistics in Chattanooga might be one of the best ones to do it just because of how big they are with the amount of employees, right? But you guys do a fantastic job. Josh, talk about a little bit about the social media strategy you guys are implementing.
Yeah. So for us, it was pretty evident, like early on, right? We had zero brand awareness. So for talking with Shannon and the group, when we first started June 2nd of last year, it was how do we get it expedited? How do we get it out there as quickly as possible? So for me, I saw in other industries and how they approached it similar to what we kind of are doing now, and how that stuck to me as a viewer. One of the big things this might be popular or unpopular here, is Barstool. Barstool does a great job of promoting individualities, even though they're all underneath the Barstool umbrella. That's kind of where I went in and said, hey, this is kind of the view. This is kind of some of the things that I think could work for our industry. And so from there, we just kind of rolled it out, right? We support individuals to have their own platform. There's no better advocacy than employee advocacy. So there should be a promotion or some type of incentive for our people to know from the leadership down of saying, hey guys, we 100% support this in all ways, right? So you go out there and you tell them about your journey, good and bad, right? We would encourage them to focus more in on some of the things that they're struggling with. And that gives obviously CEOs and co-founders a little bit of anxiety, but it's real, and it speaks to a lot of the candidates that are potentially looking at jumping into our industry or jumping into a new banner. I always compare it to, and I know I've said this a couple of times, is Amazon, right? We go down to the review section. We always make sure that before we purchase a product, we want to get everybody's point or view on certain things. So same thing applies here, right? As a future employer or a company that I'm looking at joining, I I want to go see exactly how those individuals are talking about it, how they feel about it. What does the social setting look like for them? What is the culture atmosphere? So we promote it, we push it, and our people are thriving in it because it's kind of giving them the voice that typically they've always been put into a sandbox for.
No, that's great. Have you figured out a way to turn the content into inbound leads of some sort? Have you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I would
Now,
say
with
on
that-
that note, I mean, we have our hello at FreightVana.io, and it's honest. Like when we do posts, we get messages from carriers, we get messages from shippers. Hey, tell me about this. Hey, you guys look like you're fun. I want to learn more about this. So just that social media presence that, hey, led you to us, right, Gunner? Like that same one, shippers are paying attention this. And I think the other thing that I think is being unique, right? I mean, like sports, right, Gunner? And you're a big sports guy, right? You got the cards.
Oh, yeah.
You love that, right? It's a copycat league, or it has been. But I think in any evolution, in any game, in any sport, there's always those teams that kind of change the game a little bit, right? They switch the playbook around a little bit, right? You always hear about the coordinators in like an NFL. They're like, they stretch the barriers. Like you're running plays that no one ran. Why? You know what I mean? And so we kind of want to be on that forefront of like, hey, this is how it's been done. And we can have some of the same standard plays and some of the same standard sets. But when you see us, like we're going to challenge the fringes on new types of offense, new types of play structures. Like we're going to challenge those boundaries. And hey, I think what you've seen is even the folks that follow us, we got a lot of friends and partners in the industry, the people that we collaborate with, that quote unquote competitors, but you see them kind of following along with some of the stuff we did. And I think we take pride in that, right? They always say, right, imitation is the best form of flattery. Well, yeah. Hey, like for us, we've only been at this a short time, and we see a lot of people kind of, starting to do things that we did, and we don't get offended by that. Like, hey, maybe we're doing something right. Maybe this is the path. Maybe just like the NFL, right? You run some good plays. You think every offensive coordinator and every other team gunner isn't looking at that play film thinking, oh, next time we go out to the field, next time we see this defensive set, we're going to want to run those plays too. You know what I mean? And so we're sports guys, we're competitors, but at the end of the day, like we want to challenge the boundaries. And I think that's what you see from us.
Yeah, no, I mean, I dig it. I think I saw you guys first on TikTok, but I think it's like the TikToks that you put on LinkedIn is the reason why I really found it, because LinkedIn is pretty much what I try to grow our company on marketing wise, but it's more of like a one-man show for the most part. You guys just started in 2021, correct?
Correct.
You have over 60 employees according to LinkedIn. Is that correct?
Closer over to 70 now. So
yeah, not everybody's on LinkedIn.
So how do you grow that fast as a startup brokerage?
Josh? So in addition, I want to just highlight, in addition to social media, Josh is the jack of all trades, Gunner, which is why, I was so excited to have him join us. So Josh, not only what people don't realize is they look at the TikToks and they see all the shine and everything Josh does creative there. What they don't realize is Josh is also our director of recruiting at FreightVana. So this is a good segue. Most people don't realize that because he doesn't really lean on that as much, but that is like more than half of his full-time job. So go ahead, Josh.
To kind of piggyback off what I initially said is a brand awareness, right? So being cost efficient, especially early on in a startup life, we wanted to kind of monitor our spend, especially on the recruiting front. Platforms aren't cheap these days. So you got to be creative. And for me, it was the thing that's free, the thing that's there for everybody, the thing that I can get the most touches out there for is the social media presence. So push our culture, push all of the things that are currently happening, capturing the milestones in the company. And then from there, just kind of let it sell itself in terms of, hey, if candidates are interested in it, they'll reach out to us. But the employee referrals, I think, has been one of the biggest things for us. When you're willing to put your name on somebody during a startup, that says a lot for us as hiring managers and all that good stuff. So if an employee is willing to bring in a name, somebody that they trust, somebody that they're willing to put on the line, then hey, we're all about it. Obviously, it's not everybody's going to be hired, and that's kind of the ebbs and flows that we kind of have to deal with when you do with the employee referral program type of stuff. But at the end of the day, you're building something for the years to come, and the foundation needs to be set. And those individuals that we're bringing on are all unique. Everybody has their own skill sets, different skill sets in terms of soft skills, what they bring to the table every single day. We can teach them the industry, the terminology, the platform, all that good stuff, right? We can't teach them some of the things that they're born with that we look for, some of the attributes that are hidden. So it's been fun to kind of see it take off so quick in the early days. We're built for this, and because of our past life where we came from, this is kind of this muscle memory for us. But for where we're moving, it was, hey, culture first, kind of figure out that foundation, and then from there, just kind of let our people kind of be the selling tools for the recruiting front.
No, that's great, because a lot of people go out, they're doing the Monster, they're doing the Indeeds, they're doing, the LinkedIn job posting, and we've went through that. And you guys are in Phoenix, right?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I was in Phoenix a few months ago. First time ever. First of all, beautiful. I should have saw you guys when I came out there. But
next time,
right? No doubt.
This is our last day in HQ1, Gunner. So when you come, you're going to see. You're not going to see HQ1. You're not going to see our humble beginnings. You get to see where we're moving, and it's a pretty cool spot. So you're welcome.
I get to experience the luxury of the season, right? I don't. After the championship, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd love to get out there and see you guys and just kind of see what you got set up. But Phoenix is probably a little bit better of an area to grab talent than where we're from. Like we're Chattanooga, but we're also outside of Chattanooga and Saudi Daisy. So it's a little bit harder to grab talent, but you guys do a great job of it because you're promoting your culture online. So you're actually recruiting with reverse psychology, I guess is what you would say, right? Like you're just trying to, hey, this is how fun it would be, and this is what you can do, and you can have your own brand, you do your own thing, you work for a great company. But we're not going to ask people to work for us. If you want to work for us, come work for us, right? Is that kind of the strategy?
Yeah. I said this the other day to someone. It was like, think about how every other company hires, right? Every other HR team hires. Every other marketing packet comes out from every company. They all look the same. Change the logo, change the thing. It's the same voice track. It's the same theme. It's the same video shot. It's the same interview process. It's, hey, we're going to develop our people. We care about our people. You can grow here. Great careers, great leadership. Like it's all stock. And so I think what people, especially the younger generations, looking like they see through the stock nature of it, right? And so we don't have anything that's stock. So we're there. And I think the second biggest thing that large companies struggle with is they sell all those things. And then there's the reality of when you show up to the office, or the reality of once you're hired. And 4 weeks in, you'd be like, hey, where are all those things that the standard stuff you said, and now I'm sitting here, right, Gunner? And it's like, wait, where's all that? And they're like, oh, well, that's just kind of what we sell to get you here. And it's like, for us, it's like, no. So we're not going to go stock. We're going to be real and raw. You're going to come to the office. I think the coolest part I would tell you, Gunner, one of the coolest things, when we have either industry friends or we have candidates that come visit us for like the interviews, the pre-screens, and the process that we run through, they get to see it. And really quickly, I think in your head, to your point on the psychology, they're like, damn, I thought it was this way. I see it this way. And wouldn't you believe it's actually that when I'm here in this office? Like, and so when you bring those two together, then you get people that you want to talk about trust. You want to talk about belief. They're like, that's cool. I want to be with somebody authentic that I know lives what they are, because most companies lose right off the gate because we're this perfect thing and you're so not. And immediately you already lied to the person that's sitting in the seat, and they're like, okay, so now this is really weird. I just committed my career and I'm in an awkward spot. And I feel like I got bamboozled, right? It's like you bought the terrible used car. How do you feel? Do you just run back to that dealership to get another one? Are you super happy with that salesperson? No. And so we don't approach it that way. And it's like, if you want to work here, cool, we're open door, come visit us. But if you don't fit, that's cool too. But when you come here, you will see exactly what we are. There's no games. There's no puffery, right? It's no show. It's all real. It's authentic. And if you like it, cool. And we're okay with that.
And Gunnar, you mentioned that. Sorry, you mentioned that we have an easier market to pull from as opposed to something similar to like where you're currently sitting. Why do you view it in that sense?
Why would I say that?
Yeah.
So I would say, I guess being in Phoenix, it's a large metro area, right? There's probably a lot of talent right there wanting to be. Are y'all downtown Phoenix? Like, kind of give me a geographic. Okay, yeah. So downtown Phoenix. Downtown Chattanooga is what I guess we consider Freight Alley over here. Yep. Is what kind of they dubbed it, right?
The Mecca.
Because of so many startup brokerages due to the fastest internet in the country and all this stuff. So you can recruit to downtown Chattanooga. You still have the fastest internet in Saudi Daisy where we're at, still Chattanooga, right? It's just a 45-minute drive from downtown. So about as far out as anybody's going to get is about 20 minutes out from downtown, really, and Chattanooga is where they want to go. Then you're starting to pull a little bit of teeth. Then you've got to be a company that maybe can pay a little bit more, have a better commission structure. or have something that's just going to pull them from the downtown area. Because when I say we're in Chattanooga, we're as far north in Chattanooga as you could possibly go. So not because we're in Chattanooga, we can't recruit as well as you guys is what I'm saying. I'm saying the area we're in Chattanooga limits our recruiting ability in logistics.
Is remote work from home hybrid options a big thing in that market?
That's currently not an option for us in the direction we're going. That was on the list. I wanted to ask you guys about remote work because as it's going along, I'm starting to see more positives to it than I'm seeing cons to it if you get the right people that are willing to do what they need to get done. So what do you guys think about remote work in logistics?
And I think that's kind of where I was kind of segueing in and why I was asking why you feel my market is a little bit better than your market, right? I think if your organization is willing to take that that next step, right, the pre-pandemic step of saying, hey, work from home, how do we all adjust from the corporate side and even as an employee side? Because now we're all learning together for the first time. Truly, we're trying to figure this all out, and everybody's got to have a learning curve, and we all learn by our mistakes, right? So for us, we have a total of 8 employees that are fully remote. We have 5 of them on the East Coast, and then a couple over here out in Vegas and in California. So we support it, obviously. And to your point, yes, you're going to have to make the right decision based on what it is that you're specifically looking for, your needs, the hiring manager's needs, and the company itself, right? But on top of that, you also have to make sure that you're looking in at the candidate. What are some of the specific personal needs that they're trying to do? What are some of their personal goals? What are some of their professional goals? Are you aligned on a lot of those things? Because that will start to be able to speak to one another in terms of saying, hey, I have a lot of these things that are obtainable for you that we can provide. Or maybe you were bringing something to a different vantage point for us that we haven't really been viewing before. And now it's on our plate, and we actually might want to run with something like that. So I would argue that markets are better than the other. Obviously, you're in Freight Alley, Chicago, California, Florida, all that good stuff, Georgia. It's just a matter of if you're willing to adapt, right? If you're willing to go out there and say, hey, I'm willing to change a little bit of the status quo. Traditionally, transportation has been very difficult to work from home, but the pandemic showed us that technology is there for it, right? Our people are able to achieve a lot of the things that they can do in the office, probably even more at a higher level, just because some individuals are driven towards that type of setting. But at the end of the day, I think for us, it's just, hey, what are the needs? And then from there, we kind of tackle it out amongst one another internally and saying, hey, this is probably the angle we should go here, or hey, this is probably where we want to be more in state. So that's kind of my view on it.
So since we don't have any experience doing it, what would you say is the best skill set for someone that would be efficient as a work from home person?
Yeah. So I think there is no right or wrong answer there. I think everybody is different. It depends on the role also, right? If you're an operations person, you're going to have a different type of skill set that somebody that's working in full stack or on the IT side of things. I think for us, it's just ambitions, grit, individuals that are willing to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I am 600 miles away, but here's my body of work. This is some of the things I've done over the last 4 or 5 years. I think for us during the pre-screening courses like that, especially when it is a remote position, it's the individuals that we just kind of say, hey, for the first 25 minutes of this call, it's just going to be about you. What are your hobbies? What are some of the things that make you tick? What are some of the things that are going to make you actually, when you get off work, what sparks your interest? And then from there, we kind of just have some whiteboarding conversations and have organic roles based off of that. But everybody has a different bringing that they can kind of bring every single day. And for us, it's just a unique approach. Obviously, like I told you, it's based on the role, specific towards that individual, specific towards that organization. I know that's long-winded and it's really not giving you the specific answer you're looking for, but everybody has a different soft skill set that they kind of bring.
And I would just add, Gunnar, I mean, I kind of boil that down to really one word, maybe two, depending on how you want to define it, but self-starter, right? If you've got a self-starter, then work from home works.
Entrepreneurial mindset.
If you have someone that's not a self-starter, and especially if they have no logistics experience, I would lean towards you, Gunnar. Like, this is going to be really hard. Like it is going to be very hard to get you the training, the development. You're going to miss out on some of the osmosis training. You have to have those people that entrepreneur mindset, self-starters. A non-official term we like to use here is just, what's your gaff factor, right? What is it? Like, if you come in and your gaff factor is an 8+, we're going to be interested in you. Why? Because no matter what comes your way, we know with an 8+ gaff factor, you're going to be a winner because you're built that way. Josh mentioned, you got the grit, you got the fight, you'll push through because you have that. Now, if you're a 3 on the gaff factor scale, then you're not probably a fit, and you're definitely going to be it's going to be tough for us on a work from home because it probably won't work for either of us. And so really, as we go through our onboarding, really screening process, I should say, Gunnar, like that's what we're trying to pull out. When Josh mentions talking to people, it's very casual, but the whole time, that's what we're trying to assess in our folks.
Okay. And we'll get off remote work. Just last question on that. So would you say a sales job or an operational job would be a better fit for at home? I know it depends on the person, but in a perfect world, is it probably more of a sales role?
I would say, naturally sales, I think you can kind of cover from anywhere, and there's probably not as much osmosis and not as many tactical details, moving parts, you know what I mean? So I think a sales role naturally leads to that. We have a couple remote salespeople today that do a great job, right? But they are self-starters, and their business doesn't rely on the 8 people around them on 10 people around them on a daily. So I think sales naturally leans that way, but we also are still wanting to learn and press into operations too.
Okay. No, that makes a lot of sense. I would think that sales would work because I guess it depends on the model. So next question, what is your model? Are you split model? Do you have an operations and a sales team, or do you do cradle to grave, or so you're just
not cradle to grave. We split it up. So we have an operations team, we have an accounts team, we have some folks that work in the middle. So your assembly line would be, hey, we got sales guys, they contact shippers, they get the freight. Do you have a pricing department? We do. Yep.
So you take the pricing out of the sales team, so they're not manipulated. You put that in, and then the pricing team wins the freight, goes to the account managers. I'm assuming they build it, goes to the carrier reps, they book it, and then from there on out.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback that, our operations group is the ones that are basically the cradle to grave once it is, right? Obviously, they're sourcing, they're going through their book of business, they're going through all that good stuff. Once it's picked up, they're making sure everything through transit's good. Obviously, there's no handoff there. Our people are representing the carrier through and through, cradle to grave, all the way to delivery, even on the back end for the billing cycle as well. That rep is there for them for a specific reason. So our operations group is basically managing it from pickup to delivery.
So your operations team is doing all the dirty work, and then you've got the sales guys actually talking to the customer, pretty much. Yeah. That's what you're doing. Gotcha.
Sales is pretty similar to what we do.
Sales is pretty dang dirty.
Trust me. I know. Trust me.
You got to be able to row that river of what we call denial. That river, you got to be able to be in that canoe and constantly be paddling upriver if you're going to be in sales, as you well know, Gunnar.
Hey, I've been saying here recently, I want to hear about how many no's you got today. Don't tell me about your yeses, because if you keep getting enough no's, I know you're going to get a yes. Just tell me how many no's you got.
Love that, man. Love that.
So another thing, I guess, for me here at the end, what I have written down, what's as far as, God, you guys covered just about everything. Do you have no guys doing cradle to grave? So I come from, I only been at Lipsy Logistics, and I've been at 12 Point. 12 Point was a startup. Lipsy, I was probably like a 30 person hired. We were up to a little over 100 people once I was there, but it started to change a little bit. It went from it was split model, and then there was some pods, and then there was like a flatbed group, and then there was like a cradle to grave group, and it's a different structure. And then they initially went back to split model because I think you have to have one type of way to do business.
Yeah.
But I find that companies, maybe you get a guy come in and they're just good at doing it by themselves, and they kind of go off to themselves. What would you say to that employee? Would you say, trust your operations team, trust us to get it done, and just go sell? Or would you say, be hands-on and take care of it for a little bit and then pass it off when it gets big enough? How do you guys kind of navigate those waters?
I think we just say trust what we built here, trust your new role. Hey, that focus should allow you to be even better. Josh would ask that person where they think they can add the most value to the company. What's their biggest passion, right? I think that's another mistake. People, what people don't realize about Josh Gunnar is in a previous life, Josh didn't do any social media. He really didn't. It was very limited, right? Like what you see from him, the TikToks that you mentioned, and that was a skill set that this environment and hopefully this platform has allowed Josh to bring those talents to life. We would do the same thing with someone in that realm and just say, hey, which way would you want to go? And where do you want to be? And ideally, we've got needs on both sides with where we're growing and how we're growing. So we know we can accommodate the role pretty much anywhere. We're lucky in that realm. So we really try to find the spot for them that works. And so I don't think we would really say, hey, we're just going to run your model, because I think that would be counterintuitive to kind of the team atmosphere of what we build here, but we would figure out where the best role is for them on the team.
So we'll get to Samantha's question, then kind of get you guys out of here because we're running out of time.
Yeah.
But she said, how do you empower your people's personal brands? Y'all are killing it in social space. What do you attribute to that success? I think Josh hit on that earlier. Maybe she wasn't here. So if you want to kind of just go over it real briefly.
I just have 2 words to add to what Josh said, and he said it all, or most of it, right? But to Samantha's comment, it's 2 things. It's trust. You mentioned it on the onset, Gunner, right? You've seen trust. And hey, people look at trust like outwardly. We're selling trust. No, we're emoting trust, right? So when you empower, and so I see a lot of companies be like, no, we want all these things. We say we want these things, but we act in a certain way. So if you're going to have, how are you going to do that? You need to trust your employees, which is, to Josh's point, sometimes a little scary, right? We don't luckily have shareholders. We're not publicly traded. So from a trust perspective, like we trust one another, and honestly, we trust in our hiring process and the individuality. So we trust that. And then the second word I would give Samantha and you, Gunner, would be empowerment. Not only are you going to trust them, you're going to empower them to have a voice, to have a personality. And that can be uniquely your own, and it can be tied to your brand. There's risk there, which hence is why it has to be trust and empowerment. If you do not have both of those things truly at the top of your organization, then you will never see it permeate the rest of your organization. It's you got the sports cards on your wall. It's a point guard mentality. So if the point guard sets this tone, the rest of the team follows, just like a quarterback in a huddle, right? Like all of these things are, I believe, to be true. And so where I see companies struggle is they don't have it be consistent. And then the point guards of the team are not truly trusting. They're not truly empowering. And then it all breaks downstream. So I think if it's a ground up approach, it could work. But for companies to be really successful, your leadership also has to believe in the full approach, because otherwise people are going to look upwards and say, yeah, you're telling me this, but my leaders are kind of looking at me side-eyed or making weird comments, and I don't feel comfortable. And so naturally your people are going to pull back instead of lean in. And so I really think you've got to get your leaders at your companies, your division leaders, your CEOs, whoever, to believe in that process. And if they do, then I think you got a really good chance of delivering that to the rest of the org. Josh, I don't know if you feel different, brother, but that's kind of how I see it.
Shit, man. This is what makes him, he makes people want to run through walls for him, man. He said it best. I think it's there. It's everything that he just touched on. It's empowerment. It's acting on the things that we say we're going to do, right? There's a lot of things that I post out there that Shannon doesn't agree with, but he'll talk it out. He'll say, hey, these are some of my views in here, and this is my vantage point of it. But he doesn't make us remove those things either. And I think that's what resonates for a lot of people. It's tangible. It's real. It's not cookie cutter. It's not fake anything about it. So it's just a unique approach that I'm glad to be part of.
Well, hey, last thing, we got you for 2 minutes. Each of you, I want you to kind of go through this and you kind of do it together. But I like to ask everybody, like, one tip you'd give to somebody trying to get into the industry or whatever. But with you guys being so new and doing so well, what's one tip you'd give to a person wanting to start a freight brokerage to get off the ground fast?
I'll touch mine really quick, and because I'm not the CEO and co-founder of a company. So for me, I would say if somebody's interested in getting into content or recruiting or anything like that, consistency. Just stay consistent. There's going to be ebbs and flows throughout this journey. Make sure that you stay consistent with it. I think that's the biggest tool. That's the secret sauce there. The algorithms are not in your favor on any platform. The only thing you can do is stay in the know, be consistent, be in the focal point for everybody's feeds. I think that's where a lot of people kind of get tired or burnt out after a certain amount of months or quarters, and then they just kind of fall back to the wayside of old habits. So consistency is probably my biggest thing.
And then for me, Gunner, I'd say it's all grit and passion, right? If you're going to start in this business, it's hyper competitive. I don't know, any given day, right? One day there's 10,000 of us. One day there's 15,000. I saw some report the other day, there's 27,000. If you want to compete in that type of a marketplace, you better have passion and you better have grit. Because if you just tiptoe in, no chance, right? No chance with the players, the participants, the challenges, the market swings. So if you're not bringing all the grit and passion in your bones, then this probably isn't the industry for you. But if you got those two things and you got that belief, then lean in and hey, be willing to weather the storm of the ups and downs in this journey, right? People see the shine. I think you haven't seen much shine from us, right? You don't see us talking about revenues, and you don't see us talking about glory and this and that or raises. Like we'll handle it. But on the backside, right, we're really honest that, hey, it's a grind and we've got ups and downs and things we're learning and things we screw up every day. So we're very honest in that approach. So I'd say grit and passion can get you through anything. But I think you're already a guy that knows that, Gunner. And I think that's what separates the winners from the losers in the long run.
Well, dude, I love that. Shannon, Josh, I respect your time. It is 11 o'clock. For my time, you guys got to start the work day. Get to your meeting, stick your tongue out like Jordan, be the GOAT, and you guys have a great day, all right?
Appreciate you, Gunner. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
See you, brother. Yep.